Is Finland going to be the next Russian target after 1 year of Russia-Ukraine war? According to the Barents Observer news outlet, Russia has deployed two Tu-160 and 14 Tu-95 strategic bombers which are capable of carrying conventional and nuclear cruise missiles to the Olenya Air Base on the Kola Peninsula. The news outlet referred to a satellite image of the airbase taken on May 7th. The base is located just 200 kilometers from Russia's border with Finland and Norway. Russian President Vladimir Putin on multiple occasions has warned against Finland joining North Atlantic Treaty Organization, the NATO. Finland's accession to NATO in April this year is considered a setback for Vladimir Putin. Finland shares a 1340 kilometer eastern frontier with Russia. Now Helsinki chose the protection of NATO's Article 5, which says an attack on one member in Europe or North America is considered an attack on all. What does it mean? It means if Finland were invaded or attacked, all NATO members, including the US, would come to its aid. If that happens, China may come to Russia's help. That may drive Japan and consequently Korean Peninsula into the war. If it would simply mean a third world war, so any provocative action by Finland would risk the peace in the world. What could be a spark that can lead a war between Finland and Russia? Stay tuned without skipping till end of the video. Hello and welcome. My name is Shailesh Kumar and you're watching National Defense. Finland is currently having an ad hoc leadership after Finland's youngest Prime Minister Sanna Marin resigned after news appeared of her divorce with her husband. Sanna Marin, better known as Parting PM, for her alleged dance clip leaked was instrumental in getting Finland in NATO cover. Despite being a nation 55 times smaller in terms of geographical area and 26 times smaller population-wise, Finland, that ranks 51 in Global Firepower Index against Russia's number 2 of 145 countries, is taking Russian Federation head-on. But the big question is when Russia will expand the war by opening war gates to Finland or Sweden. What would be the spark? There are two developments currently happening at Finland borders. One, Finland is currently carrying out war exercises at its border adjoining Russia. And this exercise that was started in April will continue till June. Many nations soon going to join this war exercise. I will discuss this exercise in detail, but first let's talk about the second development. Finnish border guard is fencing Finland's southern eastern border with Russia. The 10-foot long steel fence with a barbed wire extension on top is to prevent illegal immigration from Russia and give reaction time to authorities. The move was approved by PM Sanna Marin in 2015-16 when Moscow allegedly attempted to influence Finland by organizing large numbers of asylum seekers. Russian authorities were allegedly seen deliberately ushering thousands of asylum seekers, mostly from Iraq, Afghanistan and other Middle East nations, to those border crossing points. The move was seen as a show of muscle by Moscow. The issue was settled when Finnish President Sauli Niinisto held talks with his Russian counterpart, President Vladimir Putin. The flow of migrants stopped shortly thereafter. So any skirmish at points where border is not properly defined may lead to escalation. To understand this, we need to go back to the dates between First and Second World War. Till year 1917, border between Finland and Russia was open. Post 1917, Finland shifted foreign policy to the west. Exports to Russia, almost one-third to Russia, dropped below 5% in the years thereafter. Russia was increasingly portrayed as a separate nation from Finland. Views hardened, and before the Second World War, Russians were almost seen as barbarians by Finnish. For about 70 years, the border was practically closed. The border became more and more problematic thereafter. In negotiations in October 1939, the main Soviet demand was that the Finns cede small parcels of the territory, including a naval base on the Gulf of Finland that was Soviets wanted to help them protect Leningrad. In exchange, the Soviets offered to cede to Finland about 8,800 square kilometers of Karelia along the Finnish border, or about twice the amount of land to be ceded by Finland. Finland rejected these demands, and on November 30, 1939, the Winter War started when Russia invaded Finland without a declaration of the war. However, the Finnish resistance held much longer and expected, and hostilities ceased in March 1940. The Moscow Peace Treaty was signed, and Finland ceded more than 10% of its pre-war territory, much of its territory and power generation, and the fourth largest city, Viipuri, to Russia, resulting in migration of approximately 10% of the Finnish population behind the new border. After the treaty signing, hostilities continued, especially in the area of eastern Karelia. The 1940 border was confirmed in the Treaty of Paris in 1947. In 1992, both countries signed the Neighboring Area Cooperation Agreement. This agreement led to the promotion of cross-border cooperation schemes. The number of border crossing points increased. Russian tourists began crossing the Finnish border for the first time. Before 1991, no more than 9,000 Russian visitors crossed the border. But in 1996, this figure had surged past 1,70,000 and continued to grow. So given this historical background, Russia may object to any closure of border crossing points. This may lead to border skirmish that may escalate, given Finland joining NATO amid ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine. I hope you understand this. In this reference, it is important to have a look at the war between Russia and Finland. 1714, the Great Wrath, 1740, the Lesser Wrath, 1809, the First Finnish War. The Grand Duchy of Finland was from 1809 to 1917 an autonomous possession of the Russian imperial family. After that, family were murdered and the Soviets came to power. Finland then regarded itself as an independent again. Russia then regarded it as invadable again. 1918, 5,000 Soviet volunteers entered Finland in order to assist in bringing about a communist revolution. 1939, the Winter War. Thereafter, 1941, continuation war. So Finland has to be very careful of Russian sensitivities, as it is for long wants to protect its border, for which it has tried to negotiate peacefully in the history, as we see. Now coming to the second development that can spark a war between Finland and Russia is ongoing border war exercises by Finland. The exercise started with Sweden, would see many friendly nations participate in it. The exercise in May to June will certainly raise temperatures with Russia. Finland Army in a press release told media that the objective of the exercise involved further developing army interoperability and interoperable operation with forces of the alliance and with Sweden. Swedish Armed Forces led exercise Aurora 23 was conducted in southern Sweden during 1st to 11th May 2023. Just now, in northern Finland, exercise will be led by the Army Academy. In the exercise Lightning Strike 23, starting from today, Global Firepower Index says that Finland has 24,000 active military service members, whereas Russia has 8,30,900 active personnel. Finland ranks 4th with 9 lakh reserves personnel, whereas Russia ranks 17th with 2,50,000 reserve personnel. There are 14,000 paramilitary personnel in Finland, whereas the number of paramilitary personnel in the Russian forces exceeds 2,50,000. Finland and Russia stands almost equal in external debt, rank at 98 and 95 respectively. Russia ranks 6th in foreign reserves against Finland's ranking of 71. Similarly, Russians have better purchasing power with global firepower ranking at 6th place against Finland's 58th rank. There is also a huge budget difference between the two countries. Finland ranking 34th and Russia ranking at 3rd. Huge gap. So by conducting the military exercises, Finland wants to make sure it can fight with foreign forces together with interoperability. At national level, Finland defends its competence in receiving and supporting international forces as regards maintenance and logistics. The exercise drills this spring is being participated by conscripts, reservists and service personnel as applicable from the Army Brigade level units and from the other services. According to Finland military, in May and June, the total number of international troops in Finland will vary in accordance with the ongoing exercise drills in progress. So it's not fixed. Training and exercise activity will support sustained competence of conscripts, reservists and service personnel, and it is a huge number with Finland. While Europe and US supporting Ukraine against Russia with latest support including financial support coming from Germany and France, Finland and Sweden understand they would be the next target as Russia feel more threatened, intimidated. Any overture or misstep would have a reaction and escalation from Russia. Any military support of other country including China to Russia would work as a fuel to fire. Dousing that raging fire would then be impossible. Baltic should be contained and confined. Thanks for watching National Defense. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.